think the best thing we can do as a friend or as a mentor is to recognize that it's not our decision. We can't make a decision for another person. We can only make the decisions for ourselves. We can give advice, but that's just all it is. It's just advice. And if it's a good friendship, hang on to it, even if they're making decisions that you wouldn't make.
Do you have that one friend who just continues to go back to the same guy over and over and over again, and they break up and you're like, yay, now we're going to go through a little bit of therapy, friendship therapy for a whole month, and then you think that they're over the relationship. All of a sudden, a month later, she's like, guys, guess who I'm back with? And then everyone just groans. They're just like, no.
So you've seen that happen?
Oh yeah, it's universal. Every woman has seen it happen.
So you're thinking it's universal from the standpoint that every woman has a friend who's done that?
Yeah. So how can you help those girls who just continue to go back to the same ratty guy over and over and over again?
Oh my gosh, that's a big one. Why do you think she's going back? Why do you think they're going back?
Okay, let me put on my therapy glasses. She has daddy issues.
You think it's daddy issues? I mean, that's a possibility.
No, okay. In all seriousness, I do think it's like, oh, this is so therapeutic. I'm not a counselor.
This is
so
we're not doing therapy here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're a therapist, so you can really
I'm still not doing
here.
therapy here. So
okay, true. Maybe it's just like some sort of like attachment. I don't know like why someone is so drawn to the same person who just sucks.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what happens when you're drawn to somebody in the first place.
Okay.
So, what is that? You've been in love before. What is that first attraction feel like?
Dumb.
It feels dumb.
Yeah, it's just like I'm trying to think back to like, I don't know, guys had just like the biggest crushes on. I mean, it was just like butterflies, you know?
Okay, so you felt butterflies?
Yeah.
Your heart rate goes up?
Yeah.
It's hard to think?
Yeah.
Some people get sweaty hands. Some people get, like you said, butterflies. They can't eat, or they're eating all the time, or, there's something that's going on. What do you think is going on in your brain at that time?
A whole bunch of chemicals.
Whole bunch of chemicals. What kind of chemicals?
Oxytocin,
serotonin. Actually,
dopamine.
Serotonin's going down at that point.
Serotonin's going down.
Oxytocin goes up.
Dopamine
goes up.
And epinephrine.
Norepinephrine. The key word in that is epinephrine. Do you know what epinephrine does for us?
Isn't it like something for anaphylactic shock or something?
Okay, it increases our... Epinephrine is...
I have no idea what I'm saying.
It's like a physical stimulant. It causes your blood pressure to go up, your heart rate to go up, all of those things. It's a physical reaction. So when dopamine is one of the key things that happens in your brain when it's kind of like the pleasure chemical. It's the thing that says it's fun to be in love. It feels good. Sometimes we feel more alive. We feel more. So the dopamine, the serotonin going down has the opposite effect. What it does is it cuts the inhibition part of us a little bit, and so the starry eyes you get when you look at this guy or you look, somebody and you're looking at them and you don't see their flaws. You just see their starry eyes.
Okay, that's where I feel like, whenever I've had this happen to me, I just don't I'm like, bro, you just look at the guy and you're like, bro, what do you mean? You're acting like this guy is like Captain America.
Right.
He's not.
And so that first reaction and some people have called it the honeymoon phase. I don't like that, but I do think it's an attraction phase. There's something about this other person that is really attracting us. Now, it can come from, that attraction can start from, they look good. There's something about them that there could be something where he or she, whoever you're attracted to, fits into your attachment needs. or the pattern that you started with from childhood. But for whatever reason, this person has now gotten your attention. Everything, if you were to see yourself in love, your pupils are dilating because you're staring over the table at this person. Hopefully, if they're also staring back. And when they start, if it's just a crush, if you're just liking somebody and they're like, they're oblivious to who you are, that pretty much wanes at some time, goes away at some point. But when they look back at you the same way you're looking at them, now there's that is like sparks. The dopamine rush is huge. The oxytocin release is that it's a cuddle hormone. Oxytocin is a cuddle hormone. It makes us feel connected and calm, and it makes us feel like we're this is forever thing. And so we feel really strongly. I mean, we're getting into a place where it's not just a thought; it's our hormones and emotions are all in. Obviously, the sex hormones, estrogen, testosterone, whatever, those are also influencing influencing what our reaction is.
So what you're essentially saying is our friend is drunk on love and there's no way to help her.
Correct. At this point, now, hang on. Now, she's gone away. So here's kind of what happens too. When there's a breakup, so your friend has been in love, that in love feeling may last up to 6 months. That infatuation kind of in love feeling. And then you go into another phase of a relationship where that second phase of the relationship is really more about, it's kind of like the starry glasses are off your eyes and you start to see this other person as a person, and you'll start to see their flaws. And you may not be happy with some of the flaws because you overlooked them before, but now they're staring right at you. And so you enter, if the relationship continues, you're entering into a phase where you're really kind of trying to negotiate, and it's kind of a power struggle in a way. You're trying to negotiate who's going to make decisions, who's going to, whose friends to go hang out with, all of that kind of stuff. One thing that might be happening in those cases where a woman goes back to a relationship that wasn't necessarily good for her, my guess is that at some point, they reached the second stage where they're starting to, one or both of them are starting to look at the other person and say, you know what, I'm not sure I really like this person. I fell in love with, and there may be a point where they just decide, you know what, I can't stay with this person now. Once that romantic part of the phase goes away. But here's what can happen too. A breakup, even in that kind of a situation, it can be incredibly painful. Emotional pain feels the same way to our brain as a physical pain. And a breakup can feel a lot like a broken leg. I mean, it's that strong. When you have a relationship where you've got a lot of this dopamine and oxytocin and norepinephrine going on in your system, and all of a sudden those all come crashing down, that can feel painful to you. I mean, and that all of a sudden then when our brain is going through an emotional pain of that kind, it starts to tell us the different options of things we can do to not feel so bad. Mm-hmm. And one thing it can say is, hey, remember when you first got together with this guy, he was all that in a bag of chips. And that could be a reason why somebody would keep going back to somebody that they've decided at one point that, was not good for them for whatever reason.
I guess after all of this, I'm just like, there's like no, you just have to be a friend. You can't force anyone to do anything. Yeah.
Because you're not walking in their shoes. And I think a lot of times it's giving, as a friend, whether you're just a friend or whether you're a mentor for this person, I think acceptance is the place where you just say, hey, I get it. I know it's hard to, you say you don't want to be with this person and now you're going back to them. And a lot of times people who have gone through this kind of thing over and over again lose friends. People who say, well, I told you not to go back and you went back, so you're on your own. Mm-hmm. And I've had friends who have gone through that. And in fact, one of my friends that had gone back to a abusive spouse said, I've lost all my other friends. Are you going to walk too? And I said, no. I know there's a million reasons to go back. And I understand that this is something you have to make a decision. I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you, hey, be safe. Take care of yourself in the process. I think the best thing we can do as a friend or as a mentor is to recognize that it's not our decision. We can't make a decision for another person. We can only make the decisions for ourselves. We can give advice, but that's just all it is. It's just advice. And if it's a good friendship, hang on to it, even if they're making decisions that you wouldn't make.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think probably a lot of prayer, because
Yeah.
you really can't change the heart of someone. Like you said, you can really only give advice.
Well, and even as a therapist, I've worked with couples, or I've worked with women, and men, either one, who has had a person leave that relationship, whether they're married or they're boyfriend, girlfriend. But it's getting to that place where, how do I help them accept what had happened and still not feel bad about themselves in the process?
Mm-hmm.
Relationships are hard. And, wherever possible, I try to help couples to build and strengthen their relationship and move on to the next level in the relationship. But sometimes people are just, breakups are really hard.
Yeah. So that's a time where people honestly really just need a friend.
Yeah. It's good. Be a friend. Just continue to be a friend for that person. If the relationship, it may take them a couple of breakups to decide this is not going to work. One thing you can do as a friend is suggest that if she's going back to him or he's going back to her, whichever the way it is, you can suggest that they get some relationship counseling. There are people out there who are, that are professionals and working with helping couples figure out why they keep getting into these old patterns.
Well, thank you gals so much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you soon.